Hello, how are we now? Welcome back to Favcast. This is our Kentucky Derby preview. We're going to talk about the undercard as well. There's a couple of very nice graded races here. We have a couple of grade ones, grade twos, some very, very nice horses, some potential superstars. It's all happening this weekend. Alex, what are your thoughts? How are you doing? What's your most favorite horse there you're going to talk about tonight?
We're going well, Sean. This time tomorrow, Westfield Power probably have kicked us off and relieved me of some pressure with the name American Al. Um, Look, it's another cracking card. The Kentucky Derby is probably one of the best derbies I can remember since I've been following the American racing. And look, there's a star-studded lineup of the who's who of the dirt racing in America. Cody's Wish, Goodnight Olive, the list goes on. So just looking forward to it now.
You mentioned Goodnight Olive, an absolutely great winner of the Breeders' Cup. I was there over in Keeneland. And what better way to start off with talking about the race that she's going to be in? It's the 5 past 4 in and around that. Race number 4, the Derby City Distaff Stakes. Goodnight Olive, I'd imagine, is going to be your morning line favourite. Alex, is it a straightforward certainty job here on Goodnight Olive?
Yeah, we'll kick things off with back in the Fav. Goodnight Olive. If she's improved any bit from my thought, a rusty performance in the Grade One Madison at Keeneland at the start of the month. She was getting what was given a bit of a race in the stretch by Mary Quay Contrary, who's not a bad horse. But if Goodnight Olive improves or has shaken off the cobwebs after winning at the Breeders' Cup at the end of last year, Goodnight Olive will be hard beat. I want to give a quick mention to Wicked Halo. She'd be a bit bigger than 5 to 1, I'd imagine. Look, there's only 6 runners. There's no each way value, but maybe if you wanted it without the favorite market, Wicked Halo is definitely a player. She beat Matt Ray the last time out, so yeah, Wicked Halo maybe if you're interested in having a bet without the favorite. But Good Night Olive will kick us off, Sean, in the Derby City Distaff.
That is not too bad, Alex. And just in terms of my notes, I literally have Goodnight Olive written in capital letters at the top of the page, and also underneath that, Wicked Halo herself marked in. Alex, great minds think alike, and obviously we're after talking off there. Maybe we'll get the forecast on that up for the first race. I think again, Goodnight Olive probably wasn't that impressive her last run, but again, Mary quite contrary, gave her a good run. Society in there and third, I believe. Some nice horses. I think Mary quite contrary could be a horse to keep inside of, just to look out for in future. But yeah, it's all systems go for Goodnight Olive in the first race, race 4, the 4 minutes past 5 on Churchill Downs on the Saturday card. We will quickly move on then to race number 5. This is a mile race for 4-year-olds over. A couple of horses in here I'll talk about, but it's a grade 2 stakes. The Longines Churchill Distaff Turf Mile Stakes. Alex, take it away there.
Yeah, Spenderella, Sean, simple as that for me. I think I saw her at 7 to 5 on Equibase. Tyler Gaffleone, Grey Motion. She was a very, very good filly, and she's unbeaten in America. She was last seen winning the Group 1 Delmar Oaks, which was a very, very, very good performance. And she came over to Royal Ascot during the summer last year and was beaten 4 lengths by Spenderella. Spenderella was beat by Inspiral. Tenebrism in behind her, Discoveries, Pizza Bianca. There was some very good fillies in that race. Mongostine. She's matched it now with the best in Europe as of last year, and she'd be hard beat. I just put down here the Chad Brown duo, Haughty and Speak of the Devil. Speak of the Devil won this race last year, and a horse that I put up each way all the time is Wakanaka. She's one that definitely does not like winning. I don't think she'll always find the one too good for her, but she's always a bit of a price, and she always is good for a place. But Spenderella, Sean, again, back to Fav Spenderella in the Churchill Distaff mile.
Jesus, we could. I don't know if this is a good sign or a bad sign, but I have come down on Spanderella as well. Exactly what you're thinking. I think her second Tin Spiral was absolutely amazing. Surely that's the best form here. Would you not be afraid that it's her first run of the season?
Well, yeah, it would come across like that. But saying that, she ran at Ascot, and we didn't see her run till the back end of August. She nearly had a month and a half layoff. I know she has a bigger layoff to overcome this time around, but no, I would. I think she'll be too good either way. So
That's no problem. I'll just mention, like you mentioned the duo there, Chad Brown. I'll just mention another one that I read out. He's riding Fluffy Socks. Might not be the worst horse in the world. Obviously, doesn't win that much, hence why there might be a little price. But yeah, we hit all the big ones there. I suppose speaking of the devil, probably won the race last year, but I think won't be winning it this year. Am I right in saying that, Alex? We're okay at that.
yeah, I'd agree with that. She's very, very good form. Leading into that race last year, um, and was disappointing. In her comeback this year in Gulfstream over a mile. Now saying that, she could step forward a bit from it, but she'd want to be stepping back.
No hassle at all. So we're both agreeing that Spandarella, we will be fairly disappointed if she does not go and bolt up there tomorrow. When we're talking about this race. And we move on then to the race six. This is the next go overnight stakes. I have no really opinion on this, so I'm going to let you have a go at this, Alex.
Yeah, just one or two horses that I've been following. Um, Baby Yoda's the favorite. I don't. He's a he's a good, consistent top grader. But I think his best form comes over sprinting distances between 6 and 7. One, a 1 turn mile really suits this horse. So I have to take him on, and I'm going to be trying to take him on with a horse called Caddo River, formerly with Brad Cox. He had some very, very good form early on in his career. Changed Barn to Dwayne Lucas. That man again, Tyler Gaffalione will take the ride. The only concern with him is he has a poor draw. He's the widest of the field, installed 12. And then the other horse is Zozos, again for Brad Cox. This horse was a very, very highly thought after horse. Um, Last year finishing second in the Louisiana Derby behind Epicenter. Um, and he came back this year at the start of March at the fairgrounds and won an allowance race. He'll want to come forward again, but he definitely has some back class in here. Um, but I am interested in Caddo River each way, but the draw is the worry about it. They'd be the two I'd be coming down on, and I'd be taking on Baby Yoda. So Caddo River each way, and just see how Zozos goes.
Not too bad, and I just couldn't find anything in that race at all, hence why I was just letting Alex talk us through it. We will move on then to race seven. It's a 5 furlong sprint, 3 year olds and plus, and for a prize fund of over 500,000 in and around that. We have a couple of horses here that I mentioned are catching the eye, Alex. Do we have one or two for yourself, or are we having a heap of horses? Very open race, no?
Very, very open race. I'd be the first to admit it. I'm not a lover of these sprints, particularly when there's a lot of things that can go wrong for some of the fancied horses. Um, I wrote down here motorists is coming in from the west coast, sent over in Santa Anita for Phil D'Amato. The shipping in horses are always very, very dangerous. Um, Want to make note, Go Bears Go. He's making his official US debut. He's after changing hands to Wesley Ward. It'll be very, very interesting how he goes. He has a poor enough draw. I think he's in there around 12 to 1. Johnny Velasquez is riding him. If he bounced back to any of his 2 year old form from Europe, like Sean, he was a very good 2 year old, wasn't he?
Not too bad of a 2 year old there. I saw him win at the Curragh. Very, very nice horse. I would just fear that his
Yeah.
form was kind of petered out. Would you not think?
Yeah, I think that, but now that he's with Wesley Ward, Wesley could have him fairly sharp. So I'd be just watch him brief, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's thereabouts. I mean, even he's run as a juvenile at the Breeders' Cup, or he was just nabbed in the juvenile turf sprint by one of Wesley's Twilight Gleam, I think it was. Look, he's he's interesting. But the two in here for me are Arrest Me Red for Wesley Ward once again, and Big Invasion. Big Invasion is probably the one that I'll probably come down on. I backed Arrest Me Red last time out, where he was a staying on fifth behind Caravel, who we'll know this time tomorrow how she gets on. Um, but Big Invasion, he's an up, he's a cold on the improve. For Christophe Clement, Joel Rosario will take the ride. Um, he's a very very classy animal. Won at Saratoga last summer over 5 and 6, and he got the campaign off this year in Gulfstream over 5. I think he's a 4-year-old on the improve, and he probably be the one I'd fall down on. But Go Bears goes, as I mentioned, a watch and brief and Arrest Me Red two in the race. But Big Invasion, Sean.
Not too bad. Kind of, I don't know. Again, we're kind of following on the same horses here, Alex. Just when you're saying you're falling on the horses, just be careful you don't actually injure them. Good man yourself. I think Goes Bears Go. We already mentioned it. A very very nice horse in Europe. I'm not 100% sure on its form here. Again, a wash and brief, as you mentioned. Big Invasion, I do like. I do really, really like. I think the running Gulfstream was very, very nice. Beating Yes, I Am Free. Very, very. They were just the way it won. You know, the way it just picked off the horse and was easy. There was more in it. You know. Um, would you mention Bad Beat Brian? Any chance?
Um, no,
No,
not
not
for me.
even
No,
not even its most previous run, second behind a certain horse that's running at the weekend. No,
no.
that's okay. That's okay. Game of opinions. I agree with this motorist. Nice enough horse. By Muharar could be interesting, but again, my main one will be Big Invasion, and I would give a small little chance to Nothing Better. Has done nothing wrong, very little wrong there in his form, not running at the highest level it can possibly do, but we will see how it gets on in that bigger, more elite kind of environment. But I would just put out Bad Beat Brian is not a terrible horse and could definitely spring out a little surprise. His form is not too bad, especially that last run behind Caraval. Alex, to round up their selections for this, who are you going with?
Big Invasion and Arrest Me. Yeah, just Big Invasion. Yeah.
Yeah, I will second that Big Invasion and I will give a small mention to Nothing Better. So now we're going to move on to race 8. This is a very, very exciting race. This is the Packday Mile Stakes. A couple of horses in here we're going to talk about. Very, very interesting form angles. This is only for 3-year-olds, so we don't know exactly how good these horses are. But a couple of horses that I'm going to mention, Alex, you want to talk about that are stepping up to a mile. Some of these are very, very good, exciting horses. Alex, what do you think about this race?
Yeah, exciting race. Hard to get a handle on it with so many different um, form ties. Look, it's. I think it'd be rude not to mention last year's winner, Jack Christopher. I don't think we have a standout horse in it this year, so tricky enough race, but very very interesting. And I think whoever wins it will be definitely a horse to follow for the year. Um, look, I have a shortlisted three in a wide open field. They're I'll start off with probably the more fancied of the three. For me, Curly Jack, son of Good Magic for Tom Amos. Edgar Morales will take the ride. Look, he's probably not a top grader, but his course and distance form is very very good. He has form in there with the likes of Forte, Instant Coffee, Angel of Empire, Kings Barnes, although well beat last time out by Kings Barnes. Look, this is over a mile. He gets a mile well at Churchill Downs. His form outside of Churchill Downs, like I said, isn't the best. But on that, for that reason, I think he's definitely an E2 player in here, and he'd be the first one I give a mention to. The second one is General Jim for Shug McGahey. Louise Saiz is on board there, Sean. A son of Into Mischief. He was last seen winning the Swale Stakes at Gulfstream Park. He's shipping in. But I think the horse he beat is definitely a horse to keep on the right side of in the Swale Stakes. Super Chow. He's a very very good sprinter on the upward on an upward curve. He's a horse, Super Chow, that you'll probably be hearing about during the summer. And General Jim beat him quite easily, albeit over 7. He's stepping up in trip. I think he maintains the blinkers, and he'd be the second one I'd mention. And finally, Echo again. Um, this horse won at Oakland last time out in an allowance race over a mile. He was well thought after winning last summer over 6 in Saratoga. He went straight into my tracker after that performance, and he disappointed in the Iroquois behind Curly Jack. Um, but at the start of the year, he was regarded as a Derby hopeful and ran the Lecomte. And coming down the stretch, Tyler Gaffalione was riding him that day. He pulled him up and reported after the race that he felt the left hind go from underneath the horse. Look, it's I think that I thought it was game over myself at that stage, but no, he came back nearly a month later, and he won an allowance over a mile at Oakland. Like I said, won it nicely. Um, Flavian Pratt or Florent Giroux takes the ride, and I think he's 7-2. It's fairly short, but he's held in high regard, and he's coming in off the back of a win over a mile, so definitely he could even take that step forward again and fulfill the promise they had for him last year. But no, Curly Jack would be a very, very big E-Tray play for me in this. I think he could be thereabouts. Echo again and General Jim are the other two, maybe. But yeah, I'd rather an E-Tray bet in this, and Curly Jack will be the bet in here for me.
Yes, Alex, nice of you to mention the absolute machine that was the Jack Christopher. What an absolute cracking horse he was. That's what got me back into American racing, was that horse Jack Christopher. Obviously we're going to see the Jack Christopher on the Oaks undercard in Money's Gold. We'll mention this race. I have 3 similar to yourself, but I've only come down with one income, and that is the same. That is General Jim. We've talked about Super Chow and how good he was, but the way General Jim just fucking dismissed him the last time, you can't not be impressed. He is going to have to step up, but he already has ran the mile, so I'd be all over General Jim. I think he's a great horse. And Alex, who rides that General Jim?
Louise Saiz rides that horse, Sean.
That's the shot, Alex. We'll get you there. We'll get you there. No problem.
Yeah.
Second horse I'm going to mention is Fort Bragg. Look, Fort Bragg does not win too often, but I just think his last run, look, he was in behind Forte Madge. 2 horses going for the Derby. He ran a solid enough race. This is not that big. That this is not the same race. There's no Forte in this. There's no Madge in this. I think he'll go very, very close. And the last horse I'll mention, Johnny V is on him. Kangaroo Court. Look, Kangaroo Court was a 6 furlong horse the last time. He only just scraped home from Bus Buzz, but he battled so well. So well. And I think if they step him up the mile, if he gets the mile, he'll be very, very close to winning it. It is the if. It is the if. And I don't like selecting horses that are stepping up in trip. Do not like it. I like the horse that is the form in the book, but it's such an open race that you have to be able to take a chance. And that's why I'm going to go with Kangaroo Court. Do you have a price on Kangaroo Court there, Alex, by any chance?
No, I wouldn't say he's in the first 5 though,
Yeah,
coming in from Santa Anita.
that's not too bad. That's not too bad. No, my main one is General Jim. Your main one is?
I don't really have one. Curly Jack would be the one E-Tray in this for me.
That's no hassle at all. At least we have a different opinion on that race. But that was a very, very interesting but tricky Pat Mile stakes. We move on then to race number 9. And now, Alex, there are certain races in the world. Do you know when you have these forms and it all comes together in one big race? This is the race. For me, this is the most exciting race. Other than the Derby, this is the most exciting race on this card, the Kentucky Derby card on the Saturday. This is race number 9. This is the 20 to 9. It is an American Turf Stakes. It's a grade 2, 1 mile for 3-year-olds only. And Alex, I just want to have a little do you know why there is two grade 2 races for 3-year-olds, one after the other? Is it just a distance thing, or is there certain requirements for both races? Would you know?
Pat Day miles a 1 turn mile on dirt. The American turf is on turf, Sean.
Alex, I take that back. Why we call you American Alex? That's why. Lovely hurling, Alex, from you there. I did not see that at all. I was looking at a completely different thing. And Alex, a couple of horses in here that are very, very interesting. Um, do you have many horses that you like, or is it one or two?
One or two, Sean, and I think they're going to be the same as your own. Look, I suppose Fair Bridge, Sean, myself and yourself following this horse all spring in down in Gulfstream Park. I'm looking forward to this horse. He could be very, very good. He brings in form with Carl Sparkler, who I think is a good horse. Carl Sparkler went on and won his maiden after that himself. But what really interests me, and we were on about it nearly a month ago when we heard the news. Farbridge is now moving to Todd Pletcher and makes the Todd man's debut in this race. Pitched in straight in out of an allowance into this grade 2 event. But the way he's been winning, he's so much in hand. And then the other one is the Todd Pletcher stable companion, Major Dude. Look, he's in here because he didn't make the cut for the Derby field. A son of Bolt Doro, very, very good 2-year-old form on turf. I think it was the Pilgrim he won at the at Belmont. He beat I'm Very Busy. And ever since, he's been one I've been following, and he wasn't disgraced behind Victoria Road in the Breeders' Cup Mile. And he wasn't fully tuned first time out on his seasonal debut, but he came out then again and won the Kitten's Joy, which was a grade 3 event, and reversed the former candidate. And also Dude in Colorado was in behind him, and he came out and won on the Pegasus World Cup undercard. The last race that he ran, obviously they were trying to secure his spot in the Derby. He ran into Jeff Ruby's at Turfway Park. That was on Tapita. Look, I can see why they were doing it. If I was in their position, I probably would have done the same to try and qualify the horse for the Derby. And I think Major Dude is a big player in here. Irad Ortiz Jr. will take the ride, and Joel Rosario gets back on Fair Bridge. I think they're the two main ones. But I did mention earlier Carl Sparkler, Jose Ortiz rides for Chad Brown. He too is a very, very good horse. He was second behind Farbridge first time out, and then went out and won a maiden special weight himself. Look, I think he was withdrawn from the 3-year-old mile race at Keeneland Spring Meet. So he's up to come in here instead. But again, he's another coming out of maiden special weight company straight into a grade 2 event, where I think the likes of Major Dude will be that more streetwise, and particularly Fair Bridge, because he's beaten Carl Sparkler. I'd be leaning towards him. And like I said, myself and yourself like this horse. We're a big fan of him, and he's even changed ownership as far as I'm aware. So look, they're the two in here, Major Dude, Farbridge, Sean.
Now, Alex, it's quiz time. So you mentioned that Carl Sparkler. He's by
Yeah.
Lope de Vega.
Yeah.
Can you tell me the sire of Lope de Vega?
Oh, Sean, you're putting me on the spot now.
Not good enough from you, Alex.
No,
Shamardal.
it's not. Go on.
That's okay, Alex.
Shamardal.
That's okay, Alex. No hassle at all. We'll move on anyway. I'll give you my things. And look, the two of us have talked about these two horses for a long time. Since you pointed it out and I said, we'll look at the state of these two. They're absolute weapons. Carol Sparkler and Fairbridge. Yeah, Fairbridge. Two of them, really, really interesting, really, really exciting. I cannot wait to see these. If you haven't looked at the race, just look at the time the two of these ran against each other. Neck and neck, pulled far from the field. And obviously Fairbridge went out and won, and he after backing it up. And Carl Sparkler went out and backed up that performance with a win next time out. Um, also, you have mentioned you pointed me to it the last time behind enemy lines. A Sioux Nation. Alex, can you tell me who Sioux Nation is by?
Scat Daddy.
I suppose you've redeemed yourself slightly there. But yeah, coming over from Ireland, over makes his run a debut over in America, wins nicely, very very impressive. There is behind enemy lines. I suppose Johannes has to be given a little mention as well. But the one that I really really want to mention is Talk of the Nation. If there's not going to be, if Major Dude, or if it's not Major Dude, it's going to be Talk of the Nation that I think is going to upset our party in Carl Sparkler and Fairbridge. Do you not reckon, Alex?
No, I can't see it, Sean. Look, no, no, he's a good horse though. Mustache, he beat Mustache the last day. Mustache reopposes, but geez, Sean, I know I'm bringing it up again, but the way we were like, I have Fairbridge was fairly impressive now, and the money he's changed stable to and everything, like it's. I think
Alex,
it'll be.
that's enough. That's all we need to do. All we are saying is Fairbridge, Carl Sparkler. If one of those two win, we'll be extremely happy. Those two are absolute weapons. They could be, there are potential machines if they go and win this. Very, very impressive with you, Alex, that you agreed with me again. Again, we've only disagreed on one race. Maybe that is the biggest, worst sign I've ever seen in my life, because usually we do not agree to this extent. But yes, Alex, to round up our selections for the American Turf Stakes, Alex, you were going for?
Fairbridge Major Dude.
I will go for Fairbridge, Carl Sparkler, but I'll give a mention to Talk of the Nation just because I think he is a slightly underestimated horse in this
We'll
field.
have to we'll have to do the box, Sean. We'll have to do Major Dude, Fairbridge, Talk of the Nation, and Carl Sparkler. There you go.
There you go. That is the shot there. Right. After that intense discussion of that race, where we both agreed with the exact same two horses to for the most part, we are going to move on to race number 10. This is the Churchill Down Stakes. This is 7 furlongs for 4 year olds plus. And we have a few interesting horses. I don't know if they're going to get close to the favorites. Alex, do you think there is an upset on the cards?
Well, I don't. I look. I think Cody's Wish wins. We'll get that out of the way first of all. But I think if there was an upset to happen, because he upset me the last day, endorsed.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I knew exactly what Alex was going to say. If there was no horse, if there was one horse to beat Cody's Wish, it'll be Indoors. Why is Indoors that good, and why did he upset you, Alex?
Because I believe that Charger is a Grade 1 winner waiting to happen. And I thought he was going to get off to a good start this season and win the Gulfstream Park Mile, but he just got chinned out of it by Endorsed.
He just
And I
got
said,
better. Go on, go on, go on.
and I said to you earlier on that day when we went through the race, that Sean, Charger will win, but I'm telling you, this Endorsed, if the pace collapses, Endorsed will be there. And again, if the pace collapses in this, he'll be there to pick up the pieces, no doubt. But Cody's Wish will be far superior to these, so I'll stay with Cody's Wish.
We'll keep it nice and sweet. I'll just go back to this Charge It crap talk you're telling me. Charge It was beaten by a better horse than Indoors. Charge It is just, you have, I don't know what you're seeing, but you're seeing it wrong. Indoors far better. Not not going to be in the same parish of Cody's Wish. The only problem with Cody's Wish, it is his first run after winning at the Breeders' Cup. That is the only vulnerability of Cody's Wish. I cannot see Cody's Wish being beaten other than race fitness. Are we agreed?
Agreed.
Good luck and thanks for that. We will move on to race 11. This is the Old Forester Bourbon Turf Classic Stakes. couple of horses in here I'd like to talk about, but I want to get your opinion first, Alex. Not an amazing race, but yeah, go on, tell me.
Um, I actually like this race. I always do. The last race before the Derby, we're on the turf, and I'm a big fan of Steady On. Again, in previous discussions with myself and yourself, Steady On, you try taking him on with the likes of Fort Washington. Sean, rings a bell, yeah? Fort Washington.
Fort Washington, yes, definitely rings a bell. I
Yeah.
take him on and I take it back there. Fair play to you that time.
Yeah, and I think Steady On, after winning the last day as well, he won the Appleton Stakes. I think he's a very, very good horse. Um, a son of Pioneer Denial, you wouldn't think they'd take to the turf as well as they do, but I think Steady On is a far above average horse, and he could be a real turf specialist for the summer here, Saratoga. Um, he'll be the main fancy in the race, and he's stable companion up to the mark. Um, he was third in that Maker's Mark Mile, which was a race that absolutely fell apart. Do you remember that, Sean? We'd
Yes.
Modern Games and Dr. Zenf Emmanuel, who we think is an absolute certified machine, as you say. Um,
Yes,
that
yes.
race fell apart, and up to the American Modern Games got wiped out of it. I think the jocks went to sleep halfway down the back, but to his credit, up to the mark, flew home and got third in that race. Prior to that, he'd won his last two in Gulfstream over a mile. The distance would be no problem. So I'd forgive him his last run, and I think he'll be a player. And just a mention to Satine, for Brendan Walsh. He won the race last year, and he likes Churchill Downs because last year's Arlington Million was ran over the course and distance at Churchill Downs, and he won that too, beating Smooth Like Straight. Look, he's that bit older. I think the younger horses might be passing him out, but he's a very consistent horse, and I think he'll be thereabouts on the scene. But I think the two Todd Pletcher horses, Steady On enough for the mark. I'd be leaning towards Steady On, but up to the mark, I'd forgive him his last run, and he could be an E-Trade play in this as well because of his last run. So they're the two in it for me, Sean, and I mentioned to Saturn. So Steady On, I'll keep the faith.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll agree to you with an extent. It's just something about Steady On that I just don't quite get. I think, do you think that Irad Ortiz got the choice over Jose Ortiz and who he wanted to ride? And does that not worry you that he didn't pick Steady On, or does he get the choice?
Um, yeah, I think he definitely would have the choice, I'd imagine. But like, I mean, he's getting off Steady On to ride up to the mark. That's why I'm giving both of them the benefit of the doubt. They're both owned by the same connections. Look, it may be a factor, and after the result of the race, you might be saying maybe I read new, but yeah, I see your point.
That's okay, Alex. No problem, because both of them won't win. There's a horse there that I mentioned, Spooky Channel. Not too bad. I will also mention a little each way. I don't know the price on this, but number three, Wolfies. I'm gonna butcher this. Diagnosed.
Wolfie Dynamo.
Yeah. See my
Yeah, not too bad.
right.
Not too bad for you.
Look, I had to search away there on Turfway Park on YouTube to try and get the its last run in a stakes race. It beat Verstappen. Verstappen is not a dreadful horse. Actually won a grade two since being beaten, beat Red Knight in Keeneland. And I just think there's something there. Might be in an open enough race. Look, Steady On. I agree with you. Look, I'm going to go against you just to try and piss you off a small bit, but I think Steady
Yeah,
On is a
annoy me.
fair
Yeah,
animal. Huh?
yeah, to annoy me. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think Steady On is a fair animal, but I believe he's beatable. I'll take it on with Wolfie's Diagnosed. And I suppose Hong Kong Harry, look, we talked about him before. The two of us were agreed that he was going to go very well, and then he kind of fluffed his lines. I kind of lost interest after that. But yeah, if I was to do it, I'd go Spooky Channel and also Wolfie's Diagnosed for me.